So I have a little stack of books right here that I picked up from one of my local libraries. I've been utilizing the library a lot lately. I just love how you can go and you can walk out with a stack of books totally free. It helps me like scratch that itch I have for wanting to buy things, but I'm trying not to buy things right now, especially books. I'm trying not to buy and collect. So going to the library has been a really fun like activity for me to do, and pretty much everything I've been reading lately has been from the library. So I want to share with you guys some of the books I've recently picked up, some of them I've started reading. The first one I have right on top here is an Agatha Christie book, and it's called 𝚲𝚃𝙃𝙷𝚃. It is one of the books in the 𝚲𝚃 Poirot series, which I am slowly making my way through. If you can see on the back here how far 𝚲𝚃𝙃𝙃 is into the series, I've probably read about 15 of the Poirot books. I'm no longer reading them in order. I'm just reading them as I find them and as I have time. I tend to go into the Agatha Christie Poirot books just totally blind, and I just find that that is my favorite way to read them. I do also have another Poirot book here, so let me show you guys that one next. The next one I picked up was called 𝚲𝚃. I really love the Poirot series. I love that they're shorter, so they're pretty easy for me to get through in one day. And I love reading them while I'm working and just throw on the audiobook at my desk. I really enjoy this series, and it is a goal of mine to finish the entire 𝚲𝚃 Poirot series and then start the other Agatha Christie books like the Miss Marple books. For some reason I have it in my head that I want to finish the Poirot series before I start any of the others. So I'm not quite halfway there. There's a lot in this series, so I'm just slowly making my way through, and I really enjoyed almost everything I've read. The next book I want to show you guys here is another mystery book, and I love reading mysteries, especially in the fall. I feel like this is the perfect season for all my favorite genres. And the one that I picked up from the library is The Framed Women of Ardmore House. An abandoned English manor, a peculiar missing portrait, a devilishly clever murder mystery. So this is another one that I'm gonna go into pretty much blind. I think that I read that the main character is neurodivergent, but other than that, I really don't know anything about this one, which is typically how I go into books. I really do like to go in blind, but I'm excited to read this one. I'm excited for more of like a cozier mystery. I love a mystery, reading mysteries in between like heavier, darker reads. So like the Poirot books to me are always more of like a cozy pick, and I feel like this one is going to be like that too. It's going to be more of a lighter subject matter, nothing too dark or heavy. So I will be interspersing this in between some of these other horror books that I have in my stack here. The next one that I picked up is one that was like totally a random pick, but the cover caught my eye, and then when I read the synopsis, it sounded like something I would really enjoy. So the book I picked up is called Midnight Rooms by 𝚲𝚃 𝚲𝚃, and I just think that that cover is so pretty. A mysterious suitor, a secluded manor, and a heroine's quest to uncover the mysteries hidden within its haunted walls. There is darkness deep within this house. Rooms are kept locked or hidden away, and the walls seem to thrum with secrets. Confused and terrified, she begins to question where her dreams end and reality begins. The longer Arabella stays in this place, the more she loses parts of herself. How long until she no longer exists? So this synopsis to me reminded me a bit of The Haunting of Hill House, which is one of my favorite books. And I love anything that is going to be gothic or set in a haunted house. And I love reading books where characters start like slowly going mad or slowly like losing their grip on reality. And it's like a slow descent into madness. That is probably my favorite thing to read about. I feel like I always say that. This is my favorite thing to read about. This is my favorite thing to read about. But there's so many different subjects I love reading, and in the moment, they all feel like my favorite. I have like really high hopes for this one. I haven't heard anyone talking about it. I am behind on like what's been coming out and what has the buzz around it. Like I haven't been keeping in touch with the newer releases so much. So if you guys have heard of Midnight Rooms, if you've heard anybody talk about it, let me know what you've heard, because I haven't heard anything. And I just want to know if there's any buzz around this one, because I'm really excited to pick it up myself. The next one that I recently picked up from the library is called Good Girls Don't Die. And this is a book by Christina Henry, who I really enjoy. I've read quite a few books by her. I did recently read Christina Henry's, I think it's her newest release, The House That Horror Built, I believe it was called. And I enjoyed it. I think I rated that one a 4 stars. So hopefully pretty soon I can have a reading wrap up for you guys and go over all the books. I have been reading a lot, like so much. I haven't been filming. I haven't really been like keeping up to date with what everyone else has been reading, but myself personally, I have been reading a lot. So I know in some of my recent videos, I've talked about having been in a reading slump. I will say I am no longer in a reading slump. I love Christina Henry. I recently read that new release, and then I've also read Near the Bone, which I liked. One of my favorites from her, some of my favorites from her is The Girl in Red. This is a fantastic apocalyptic story, which is kind of a retelling of Little Red Riding Hood. And I love this main character. She is so smart. She's so put together, so competent, which is like super refreshing to read about a main character who like has their stuff together and is prepared for the situation that they are in. I really love this one. And then her Alice series, which is a retelling of Alice in Wonderland. I have all 3 of them, but I've only read the first one. However, I loved it so much and I need to finish the series at some point. So I do really enjoy Christina Henry's writing. I love her books. So this is one that I know came out last year, I think, Good Girls Don't Die, and I just never got to it, but it's been on my TBR, and when I found it at the library, I picked it up. A sharp-edged, supremely twisty thriller about 3 women who find themselves trapped inside stories they know aren't their own. So I do have high hopes for this one. I haven't read anything from Christina Henry that I haven't enjoyed. Everything has been at least a 3-star, like a 3-star or higher. So I'm sure I will enjoy this book. The next one to talk about, actually the next 2 books, I have started both of these. So the first one is The Haunting of Moscow House. I didn't realize it until taking this home that this author also, that I read another book from this author, her debut novel, which was called The Witch and the Tzar. I had super high hopes for that book, The Witch and the Tzar, because one of my all-time favorite series is the Winter Night trilogy by Catherine Arden. The first one is called The Bear and the Nightingale. And this series is set in Russia, and it's a fantasy series with like super lush atmosphere. So I remember looking for books that was going to give me similar vibes of The Bear and the Nightingale, and I was super excited to read The Witch and the Tzar because that is also set in Russia, and it's like a retelling of Baba Yaga. And I ended up being like so let down by it. I think I rated it 3 stars. I probably went into it with a little bit of unfair expectations because I wanted it to be similar to my favorite series, and it just didn't give me this type of thing I was looking for. So I was then a little bit disappointed when I realized that that was the same author of this one. But something I have to remember too is just because I disliked one book from an author doesn't mean that like every book they write I would dislike. Like even for some of my favorite authors, I haven't loved every single book that they've written. So this book could still be a hit even if I disliked her debut. The Haunting of Moscow House, once again, this similar to the one I talked about earlier, Midnight Rooms. This reminded me of The Haunting of Hill House with that title. And this one is also set in Russia. So I have started reading this. I am on page 64. And so far, I am enjoying it. There is some like creepier atmosphere. In this elegant gothic horror tale set in post-revolutionary Russia, 2 formerly aristocratic sisters race to uncover their family's long-buried secrets in a house haunted by a past that's dangerous and deadly to remember. So I am enjoying this one so far. I will definitely let you guys know when I finish it, what I think of it. And the final book that I recently picked up from the library is Where the Dead Wait by Ali Wilkes. And this is a release that I was really anticipating last year, or did this come out in January? It either came out at the end of last year or the very start of 2024. And I remember being really excited for it, but I never picked it up because my library didn't buy the audiobook. Most of the books that I have picked up here, I don't have on audio. And I am one of those readers that like really prefers reading with an audiobook. So I do a lot of blended reads where I'll read it physically and then also listen to the audio. I am considering buying The Haunting of Moscow House and Where the Dead Wait on Audible because my library doesn't have the audiobooks for either of these, and I really want to read both of them. I've started both of them, and having that audiobook would help my reading experience so much. So for Where the Dead Wait, I am on page 70, and I'm enjoying this one so much. This one is a little bit of a darker, heavier read than this one's turning out to be so far. This one though, the horror is coming through very strong. It's been very creepy, and it has a bit to do with cannibalism, which is creepy and I don't know, disturbing. Yeah, this one has been a little bit of a disturbing read so far. Like, the descriptions have been quite graphic and quite detailed. And I am really enjoying this one for the writing. The writing has been really excellent and like very immersive. In the 1800s, there are many ways to be lost in the Arctic. There are fewer ways to be found, but a disgraced sea captain must search for a missing shipmate and his own redemption amidst icy threats from within and without. So this is also calling itself a gothic novel, which is so perfect. I feel like the majority of the books I've picked up all have a gothic influence to them, which is my favorite. It's so perfect for fall. I love it, and I have enjoyed everything I've started so far. So these are all of the books that I recently picked up from my library. I have been going to the library like at least once a week lately and kind of like refreshing my stack. I might not get to everything I pick up, but that's what I love so much too about the library, is it gives you that freedom to pick up as many things as you hope and wish to read, but you don't actually have to read everything. You can return them unread. I love that I can always like refresh my stack of books and there's no pressure. Oh, that's my favorite thing, because like the books that I own that are on my physical TBR, I feel so much pressure around them to read them. But something about getting library books, I don't feel any pressure at all. It just feels like this low stakes experience where I can go in, pick out whatever I want. If I read it, cool. If I don't, cool. And there's always more books waiting for me when I go back. So I have really been appreciating my libraries. That's all from today's video. I am really happy to be talking to you guys. I would love to chat in the comments about what you guys have been reading. So please let me know what you guys have been reading, what books you are excited about that are coming out. I feel like I don't really know, like, what is all the new releases? I haven't been keeping up with it at all, but I would love to chat with you guys in the comments, and I will see you in my next video.